You are losing right now, not in a fight, not in a war. In every single conversation you walk into unprepared. Every time you speak too soon, you hand someone a map to your weaknesses. Every time you fill silence with words, you confess everything you were trying to hide. You were taught that communication is connection, but they never told you that silence is power. While you were talking, they were calculating, and they already know your next move. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is a last fortress that no one can invade without your permission. Most men lose power in conversations before they even speak. You are about to find out why and how to stop it forever. You scroll. You react. You explain yourself to people who were never going to listen. Every word costs you something they never pay back. The room always belongs to the man who speaks last. Not loudest. Last. This video will cost you nothing to watch. But what you learn here will change how every powerful person in your life sees you. Starting today, you have been talking your value away. In boardrooms, in relationships, in arguments you should have never entered. The man who masters silence has already won half the battle. Let me show you the other half. Stay with me. Every second of this video is a lesson they never wanted you to have. You already know something is wrong. You have felt it. That exhaustion after conversations where you gave everything and left with nothing. You gave your opinions freely, your plans eagerly, your pain openly, and people used every single word like ammunition. You were told this was vulnerability, that sharing yourself builds connection, that openness is strength. That was the first lie they planted in you. Openness is not strength. Strategic silence is. You were never broken. You were trained to explain yourself, to justify yourself, to make others comfortable at the cost of your own authority. Every institution you pass through, school, family, workplace, rewarded you for being legible, for being readable, for being predictable, because readable people are controllable people. And so you learned to feel silence, because silence made you feel exposed, because silence felt like losing. But silence never was a problem. They just needed you to believe it was. The people who drained you most, notice how little they shared of themselves. Notice how much they made you share. They are not more charming. They are not more intelligent. They are simply more silent. And that silence reads as power to every room they enter. This is not about becoming cold. This is not about becoming distant. This is about becoming sovereign. Sovereignty means your inner world belongs to you, not to whoever asks, not to whoever pressures, not to whoever waits for you to crack. The exploitation you experienced was not random. It followed a pattern, and that pattern begins with your willingness to speak when you should have been watching. You watched, you noticed, you said nothing, and then you lost your chance because they moved first. Silence without strategy is just absence. What you need is not more words, and not less words. What you need is the right silence at the right moment, and the knowledge of what to do with the power it creates. That is exactly what you are going to learn. Section by section, weapon by weapon. You are not here by accident. You found this because part of you already knew. Now let me give that part of you a name. That part of you is a strategist, the sovereign, the man who watches before he moves. That man has been there the whole time, waiting for permission to exist. Today, you give him permission. Before we go further, you need to know where this knowledge was born. Not in a self-help book, not in a motivational seminar, in the courts of Florence, in the corridors of power where one wrong word meant exile or execution. There was a man who watched kings rise and fall, who watched the talkative destroyed and the silent survive, who understood that the mouth is the most dangerous weapon a man carries, aimed most often at himself. His name was Machiavelli, and they called him dangerous not because he was wrong, but because he was right. He was exiled, tortured, stripped of everything, and still he wrote, because the truth he had seen could not be unseen, and he refused to let it die with him. He watched silent men ascend thrones. He watched eloquent men lose their heads, and he wrote down exactly why. His writings were banned by the church, hidden by the fearful, studied in secret by kings who would never admit what they owed him. He did not moralize. He did not comfort. He described the world as it actually operates, without apology. And here, exactly here, is a sentence he wrote that should have changed everything you were ever taught about power and communication. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. But above all, avoid being hated. Niccolo Machiavelli. Sit with that, not because it is cruel, because it is a map of how power actually moves between people. And silence is the first step on that map. You have been trying to be loved in rooms where you should have been building respect. That is not a character flaw. That is misdirected energy. Machiavelli did not teach cruelty. He taught clarity. And clarity, real clarity about how humans behave under power, begins with the discipline of your own mouth. What follows are 7 lessons drawn from the philosophy of power and silence, lessons that kings paid fortunes to understand and that most men will live and die never knowing. 7 lessons. 1. Transformation. Let us begin. Most people think silence is what happens when you have nothing to say. That is wrong. Silence is what happens when you have decided not to give your power away. Think about the last time you were in a tense meeting. Someone challenged you, and immediately, automatically, you started defending yourself. That defense was not strength. That was a reflex. And every reflex you have is a lever that other people can pull. The psychology here is simple and devastating. When you feel attacked, your brain perceives social threat the same as physical threat. Fight or flight. And most people choose flight disguised as fight. They talk and talk and talk until they have given away every strategic advantage they had. The man who speaks first in a conflict hands the narrative to his opponent. Always. Starting today, the next time someone challenges you in a meeting, in a conversation, anywhere, count to 5 in your head before you respond. 5 seconds of silence. Feel the discomfort. Sit in it. That discomfort is not weakness. It is the sound of your old reflexes dying. 5 seconds. They will feel it, and what they feel it will tell you everything. Drop this in the comments. Silence is MY architecture. Silence is not passive. Silence is architecture. You are building something with it, a structure the other person cannot see, cannot map, and cannot dismantle. Every time you hold your tongue when you want to speak, you lay another stone in that fortress. And one day, no one gets in unless you open the gate. That is what architecture means. You are building something that will protect you long after you stop thinking about it. Here is a truth that will make you uncomfortable. You do not have to answer every question someone asks you. Most questions are not requests for information. They are tests of your compliance. Someone asks where you have been. Someone demands to know your plans. Someone presses you to justify a decision you already made. Your instinct: explain, defend, justify. That instinct is not honesty. It is submission. It is your nervous system telling you to appease rather than stand. The psychology: most people are trained to perceive silence as admission to guilt. They will read your non-answer as confirmation of their suspicion. Let them. Their assumption reveals far more about their own fears than it does about your reality. Starting today, when someone asks you a question designed to make you justify yourself, respond with a question, or respond with silence and a slight nod. Let them decide what your silence means. They will almost always project something smaller than your actual reality. Drop this in the comments. MY silence is not your answer. This knowledge is for protection, not destruction. The goal is not to make people feel small. The goal is to stop handing your map to anyone who asked for it. You are not obligated to be a witness against yourself. Not in a courtroom, not in a conversation. The unanswered question is not rudeness. It is a declaration that your inner world has a gate, and you hold the key. You hold the key, not them. Every room has a power structure. And that structure is decided in the first 5 minutes, not by who speaks most, but by who speaks last. You have been in that room. where everyone talks over each other and whoever shouts loudest gets heard. And you either joined the noise or went silent and felt invisible. Neither extreme works. Shouting makes you noise. Staying silent makes you furniture. The weapon is speaking last, with total precision, after everyone else has exhausted their ammunition. The psychology, the last voice heard is a voice the brain anchors to. It is called the recency effect. The most recent information carries disproportionate weight in memory and judgment. The last man to speak becomes a man the room remembers as having the answer. Starting today, in your next meeting or group conversation, commit to speaking second to last or last. Listen, let everyone reveal themselves. Then deliver one clear, considered sentence that synthesizes or reframes everything said before it. You will feel the room shift. One sentence, spoken after everyone else has spent themselves. That sentence will hit differently because silence before it gave it weight. Drop this in the comments. I speak last. I own the room. The man who speaks last in any room has heard everything, has revealed nothing, and has the final frame on reality. That is not a social skill. That is a superpower. Superpower, not metaphor. Science. And it costs you nothing but patience. There is a weapon hiding inside the moment just after you speak. Most people rush past it. The pause. Have you ever made a point in a conversation and immediately followed it with more words, nervous words, like you did not trust the point you just made? That is called post-justification anxiety, and it destroys your credibility before the other person has time to even process what you said. The psychology. Humans interpret confidence through behavioral economics of stillness. A body that moves after making a claim signals uncertainty. A body that stills after making a claim signals conviction. The pause after your words is a confident statement louder than the words themselves. Starting today, when you make a point that matters, stop. Do not soften it with a smile. Do not chase it with an explanation. Make the point. Go still. Let the silence do the heavy lifting. The pause is not dead air. The pause is the sound of power collecting itself. Every actor who has ever commanded a stage knows this. Comedians know it. Trial lawyers know it. And every powerful leader in history who ever delivered a sentence that changed a room used it. Now you know it too. Now you use it. Drop this in the comments. The pause is MY power. Every second of silence you can hold after delivering a truth, every second, is a second in which the other person's certainty dissolves and yours compounds. Compound your silence. Let it work while you watch. You do not tell everything you know. Ever. This is not dishonesty. This is how power works. You have been in a conversation where you shared more than you needed to. You revealed your plans before they were protected. You disclosed your intentions before they were secured. And then, nothing happened the way you expected. The psychology. Oversharing creates familiarity. Yes, but it destroys mystique. And mystique is one of the most underrated power dynamics in human relationships. When people can predict you fully, they stop fearing you. And when they stop fearing you, they start managing you. Starting today, in every significant conversation, reveal one less thing than you planned to. Keep one card in your hand. Not forever, just long enough to understand who you are dealing with before you show everything. That withheld card is not deception. It is the difference between a player and a spectator. Information is currency, and no currency retains its value once everyone already knows what you have. Protect it accordingly. Anyone can be silent when nothing is at stake. The real power test is, can you be silent when you are being pressured, questioned, baited, or threatened? That is where most men fail. Someone accuses you publicly. Someone attacks your character in front of others. The crowd turns. Your first instinct is to defend, to prove, to justify. And the moment you do, they have you. The psychology. Pressure is designed to provoke a reaction. The reaction is the real target, not the accusation itself. When you react, you validate the frame. When you stay silent, you dissolve it. Starting today, when someone attacks you in a group setting, try this. Look at them calmly. Say nothing for 3 seconds. Then speak once, slowly, without anger. They will be off balance, because they expected fire and you gave them stone. Stone does not argue with water. It simply outlasts it. Drop this in the comments. I am stone. Water does not move me. There's a reason the most powerful people in history rarely raise their voices. Volume is desperation. Calm is dominance. When you are calm where others expect chaos, you shift every power dynamic in the room. Calm is not passivity. Calm is the most violent thing you can do to someone who expected you to break. You cannot shake a mountain by pushing it, and you cannot destabilize a man who has found his center. Find your center. Speak from it, or say nothing from it. Either way, you cannot be moved. 55% of all human communication is nonverbal. That is not a statistic. That is a warning. People are reading you before you say a word, and most people are broadcasting their insecurities in every room they enter. Hunched shoulders, rapid speech, explanations before anyone asks for them, eyes that look for approval before they settle. You know these signals. You have sent them. The psychology. Humans are hardwired pattern recognition machines. In the first 7 seconds of meeting someone, they have already categorized your threat level, status, and reliability. Not from your words, from your body. Your posture is your first speech, and it is running whether you are aware of it or not. Starting today, own your physical space before you speak. Slow your walk by 20%. Let your breath drop. Place both feet deliberately. Occupy your chair fully. No perching, no shrinking. When you do speak, speak from the exhale. These are not performance techniques. These are signals your nervous system sends and that others receive about whether you believe you deserve to be in the room. You belong in the room. Act like it before you say a word. The silent signal is not about intimidation. It is about congruence. When your body says the same thing as your silence, people read you as complete, as whole, as someone who does not need this room, but has chosen to be in it. Chosen presence, not desperate presence. That is a silent signal every powerful person you have ever been drawn to is transmitting. Now you know what it is. Now you build it. Drop this in the comments. MY presence is MY first sentence. 7 lessons. The silence before speaking. The unanswered question. The last voice in the room. The pause after the point. The withheld card. The stillness under fire. And the silent signal that speaks before you do. 7 disciplines. 1 sovereign identity. You came here with a version of yourself that spoke too much, that explained when silence would have served better, that filled the air because the air made you afraid. The old you is dead, not as metaphor, as fact. The man who filled silence with anxiety, he does not live here anymore. What lives here now has been forged in understanding. You are a weapon, pointed at your own future, not aimed at the past, not aimed at your wounds, pointed forward, into the rooms, negotiations, relationships, and battles that are waiting for you. You belong to no one, not to their approval, not to their narrative, not to their silence test or their pressure or their need to know what you are thinking. You are sovereign territory, and sovereign territory has borders, has gates, has guards, not because it is afraid, but because it has value worth protecting. From this moment forward, every room you enter is an opportunity. Not to impress, not to be liked, to watch, to understand, to speak with precision when speaking serves you, and to remain silent when silence serves you better. This is not performance. This is not manipulation. This is the baseline behavior of a man who respects himself enough to be intentional with everything he gives away, including his words. The man who masters silence has already won half the battle. You now know what the other half is. The other half is you, rebuilt, recalibrated, ready. The next time someone waits for you to break, let them wait. The new architecture holds. If you have made it this far, you are not the same person who started watching. And that is not me trying to convince you of something. That is what exposure to real knowledge does. It changes the receiver. There is more philosophy, more weapons, more of what you were never meant to know, translated into language you can use the day you hear it. I will keep making these. Whether you come back is entirely your choice. If this changed something in you, subscribe. Not for me, because you will want to be here for what comes next. The channel exists for people who are done being readable. Subscribe if that is you. Share this with one person who still feels every silence. They are not weak. They are just uninformed. And now you can change that. And now, the question. Think about it. Sit with it. Come back to the comments when you have an answer, because this one question will tell you exactly where you are on the road to mastery of yourself. When was the last time you said nothing, Not because you had nothing to say, but because you chose not to give it away?